Hello and welcome back to Walk the Cinema podcast. Today we are going to be covering our first Guy Ritchie movie, the 2000 movie Snatch.
So Snatch, it is a Guy Ritchie directed film starring Brad Pitt, Jason Statham, Benicio del Toro. Later on we get Vinnie Jones. There's a lot of people in this. Yes. And it's very Guy Ritchie. I think it's the best way to say it. This is the most Guy Ritchie movie, I think. It's lock, stock, and two smoking barrels, but more polished, more commercial, maybe. And it's his biggest movie for a reason.
Yeah, I definitely think this was more ambitious than some of his other movies. And to be fair, the only movies that I've ever seen from him before I watched this were the Sherlock Holmes movies with Robert Downey Jr. And I never really... They were okay, but I never loved them.
But since then, you got the pleasure of watching Aladdin.
Yeah.
Which is a piece of shit.
Right, which is a really awful adaptation.
That's not Guy Ritchie's problem, I would assume.
Yeah, but Snatch is a good one. I suggested this one because I thought it'd be kind of interesting because we do have differing opinions on how good this is.
We've seen it together before.
Yeah. Like a couple years ago at this point.
And
we watched it with my family, actually.
Yeah. I just think Guy Ritchie movies are just fun in general. I think this might be the most fun, but his newer ones, like The Gentleman and Man of Fury, I don't know what it's called.
I think it's Man of Wrath or something.
Wrath of Man.
Yeah.
That one was really fun. I watched that in theaters and it's really fun.
Yeah, but to kind of get like a general overview of what is going on, it kind of follows two stories of crime bosses, I guess, where one story is about this diamond that Freddy Four Fingers was supposed to deliver to the Russian Boris, but ends up kind of going rogue, and it's about just them trying to fight over the gem and trying to get to it and stuff. And then there's the other part with Jason Statham where he is a boxing promoter.
Yeah.
And
kinda, I guess.
Yeah, kind of. I don't really know how else to describe him. And he's involved with a different mob boss altogether, or crime boss. And it's about trying to what is it called? Rig the boxing competition. So they get, there's this other one who is Gorgeous George, who was...
That's their boxer, the one that they have, that ends up getting knocked out by Mickey, Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Which is a great character. The best character in this, by far.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Brad Pitt does an amazing job in this.
I think everyone would agree with that. He is the highlight, even though he's not the main character.
And he's a gypsy. Yeah. Using the term that they use.
Pikey is the term they use.
Yeah, Pikey is well. Also, yeah. And, he becomes their fighter, and hilarity ensues, pretty much.
Hilarity and crime and violence.
And then the stories kind of interlap over a course, and then they kind of come to a circle, sort of.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of characters. Some are like around the diamond, and some are around the boxing. But there's just... It's an ensemble cast that just comes together in the storyline, I guess. But it is more style over substance. That's
what my biggest gripe with it is. For example, we've kind of talked about this before, but adaptation, even though I like that movie, it seems to always like come back around to us. But
maybe it's because I said it was the best American movie of the last 20 years.
Maybe. But with adaptation, it talks about the overuse of monologue or voiceover.
Voiceover, yeah.
And, they use that in adaptation too. But in this, it does feel like the critique that they were talking about, where it is kind of overused and oversimplified. And there are moments in it where I'm like, you don't really need the voiceover to explain to me what's happening, I kind of understand what's going on.
I'm not going to disagree with you, but I don't think Guy Ritchie is art. I think he is doing adrenaline-filled movies for dudes.
True.
I think he wants dudes to cheer and want to fight after, and I think he achieves that, and they're really fun movies. Some of the jokes are, like, not clever, but, like, at least not, like, the most obvious he could have gone with. And I think he's not dumbing down this style of action comedy.
I guess.
But I think he perfected his own style of action comedy, and I think people that like his movies are going to love most of them. Most of his, especially British movies.
I just think, like, the scene in particular where Brad Pitt's character's mother gets burned alive in her...
No, that was hilarious. Yeah.
You know. No.
I know.
Gets burned alive in her caravan, and the voiceover explicitly says that, like, they decided to burn his caravan,
while she was
asleep. And I was like, well, I mean, I guess I understood that based on the visuals and context clues that we were given, but you know, that's just one thing. And then another thing that I thought was kind of funny is the opening credit scenes where it goes through all of the characters and their goofy kind of names, you know. I think that's very 2000s.
Yeah, their crime nickname montage.
Yeah.
That looks like a video game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
or like a music video that's about to start.
Yeah, it is 2000s, but that's, I think, where it ends. I think this movie did kind of become timeless. I don't think there's a lot of 2000 stuff in it. Besides, you know, Vinnie Jones still being like a scary dude and not an old man. And
yeah, I always like get really confused at how Benicio del Toro looks, because I feel like he has many different looks throughout his career.
Right.
Like, he really transforms. I don't know, because I think of Benicio del Toro, I think of, like, seeing him in Star Wars. The Last Jedi, and The French Dispatch, and, you know, other things, and I feel like he always looks different.
The first one that comes to my mind is a really dumb one, I think. Traffic. And not too far off, I guess. I mean, he's older now.
That's true. He's pretty young in this. Or he looks... he's not
everyone's
like super
really
young, but...
Everyone's really young in this. This is Jason Statham's second film, because he only worked with Guy Ritchie back then.
Yeah.
So, Guy Ritchie brought up Jason Statham the same way Jason Statham brought up Guy Ritchie. Their, you know, careers start overlap.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you can see their progression together, especially in the later movie. The newest Guy Ritchie movie that's going to come out, it's going to be another crime caper, obviously, and it's going to have Jason Statham, because why wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So that's something I always enjoy about him. He did honestly pick the perfect person for this. Jason Statham is so good in this type of role.
No, I think the casting was really well done.
Yeah, he's like badass, but like still pulls off the comedy really well.
Where he's just kind of a guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's not really involved in this big crime operation.
Yeah, he was an athlete before this, before he was an actor, before he worked with Guy Ritchie, and then he became this like very solid actor really fast.
Yeah,
so that shows the casting ability. Everyone in this plays so well into they're goofy, but I'm kind of scared of them at the same time.
Yeah. But I do think because it has two different stories, I like one story over the other. Even though they kind of overlap and stuff. I think that the plot line of the boxing rigging is more interesting. I think it's better done. It's not as like annoying to me. Whereas I think some of the diamond aspects are a little too hokey for me in times.
They are too silly sometimes. Like, some of the criminals are incompetent in a funny way.
Yeah, where like
it's a Tyrone, that's the getaway driver that can't fit in his car.
Yeah, there's that, and Soul and Vincent, those are the guys that are tasked to find Four Finger Freddy, or Frankie Four Fingers.
We're forgetting about a very important character in this, the dog, the gypsy dog that's cute as heck and also plays kind of an important part of this.
Yeah.
He's always involved somehow.
Yeah, he goes through all of the storylines.
He meets everyone.
Yeah, he does. He kind of does meet everyone. But yeah, it's like one of those movies where the main characters, which my guess that the main characters are Jason Statham.
No, Jason Statham is the main character because he's the voiceover.
Yeah.
So it's his perspective, I would say, overall.
So it kind of leaves them worse off than they were at the beginning.
Yeah, but at least they're alive and they didn't lose their mother.
Yeah.
I think they're financially worse off, but overall they're still the ones that probably come out the cleanest out of all of us.
That's true, and they do have, like, the diamond at the end, which I don't know how that would work, like, how the story would progress, because it just has the New York man, who I forget the name of.
Cousin or uncle?
Yeah, cousin Avi, that's it.
Avi, yeah. He's the New York Jew that comes to London.
Yeah, to get the diamond. He, like, flies back over. But, you know, it's definitely an interesting movie. And I'd say the first Guy Ritchie movie and the only Guy Ritchie movie that I've watched that really feels like what a Guy Ritchie movie is supposed to be in theory, you know?
Right. I think he's coming back to it in a way. I think The Gentleman is actually a really good comeback to this style after Aladdin, which I will keep mentioning. After he did Aladdin, he did The Gentleman, and that was really fun, and it felt like a Guy Ritchie movie. And then it did The Wrath of Man, which was a remake of a French movie, and it was better than the French movie because I did watch both. So I gained my trust in him now that he's doing British projects. When he did The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and that Vegas one with Gerard Butler, I think that's his, and those are just boring to me.
Talking about rock and roller or something like that.
Yeah, rock and roller. I don't even remember if that was in Vegas. I just remember the poster being Vegas type posters.
Yeah, I definitely think that while I enjoyed this movie to some degree, it definitely doesn't feel like a movie made for me.
It's not, because it's literally not. It is made for guys.
Yeah.
It is made to be a fast-paced, fun movie. And I don't think it tricks itself into thinking it's anything better than that, right?
Right.
It doesn't pretend that it's an incredible feast for film enthusiasts. It's not for film enthusiasts. It is for action movie people. It is for people that just want fun and don't care too heavily about the plot, which I think the plot is there to a significant amount. It's the right amount, probably, where the plot is not sparse, but the action is more of the highlight.
That's true, but sometimes I do feel like because they focus on the action more and because they're trying to put a lot into the plot, that it can get a little overwhelming at times, where it just feels like a lot's going on and your brain kind of just shuts down and you're like, okay, I'm just in it for the ride. I'm not gonna understand this.
I do agree that a lot goes on because it's just like an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And there's a lot. There's so many characters. But again, I think they get exploited to their full potential. We don't need more. We don't need more backstory. We don't need more development because that's not where the payoff is. The payoff is in you do get what happens to every character. Yeah,
I will say that I really do like the payoff with Brad Pitt's character where he one-ups the mobster.
Yeah, they think of them as the dumb, I can understand what you're saying, you're just trying to scam me, guys.
Because in this movie, it comes with subtitles for Brad Pitt's character because you wouldn't be able to understand it.
I don't agree with that.
I feel like I really wouldn't be able to understand it.
I feel like I understand most of them. Most of the lines.
Well, yeah, but you've seen this before. I remember the first time I saw this, I had no clue what was happening.
I guess.
Going on. Second time around, you do pick up on the words a little bit more. But you also know, like, what's going on. So
sure.
I think that that's probably the reason. And you can't tell me that, like, an average person would pick up on most of the words or most of the sentences if there wasn't subtitles.
Not the average American, I would assume. but maybe English people could understand it better. It is cultural. There is the joke from Avi that he says, like, I thought you guys invented the language, but no one here seems to speak it because everyone has heavy accents.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they know that they're doing the heavy accents. They're on purpose. I would say that with the Pick-me's, having the Cockney accent is the joke.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I don't think it's hard to understand. And even if it is, the subtitles are there for a reason. We have subtitles on for every movie, no matter what. Because why wouldn't we? I understand some people don't like to read. They say that subtitles are distracting, but I don't feel that at all.
Yeah, but I only started doing it because of you. I never had subtitles on unless it was a foreign language. Just because, I don't know. It's just not something... I will say that, going to Portugal, the subtitles there are pretty much on everything, no matter what,
Right.
Whereas here in America, you don't really get subtitles unless you put on closed captioning, and, that's awful.
And if you go to, Germany or Spain or Brazil, they don't do subtitles. I went to Paris recently, a year ago, and they don't do subtitles. They just voice over everything, and that's so much worse to me. I really did hate that. You turn on the TV in France, and you're just hearing subbed voices. I don't even remember what show it was, Bones or LA Confidential. That's a movie. I don't remember what it was. It was something that was I'm used to the American actors' voices, and I'm hearing these French voices over them, and I hate that.
Yeah. It's just cultural. It's so crazy that subtitles can be cultural, but it is.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it does... To me, it is kind of it was kind of annoying to have the subtitles on, for everything. Because that's just what my eyes go to most of the time.
Okay.
But I've gotten better at ignoring them when I don't need them.
Even American culture wouldn't have subtitles. The movies that were popular from foreign countries were mostly Hong Kong action movies in the 70s that did get dubbed. There were spaghetti westerns that got dubbed. So, if you're watching a foreign movie as an American, back when, TV picked the movies for you, you are watching them dubbed as well.
Yeah.
You are watching Jackie Chan dubbing himself in English. Which is kind of fun in its own way.
It's different,
Yeah, it's different stakes for different movies, right? You're not going to watch the Best Foreign Picture nominee dubbed, but you could watch a Jackie Chan Hong Kong action movie dubbed. It'd be fine.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, Snatch, Guy Ritchie.
I will say that I was surprised that this doesn't have as great of a following as I had initially thought.
Right.
Because we were at a Goodwill one time, and a man stopped you while you were rifling through the DVDs.
Told me, buy this.
He's like, buy this. This movie's my movie. This is my movie.
He took property of it. This is mine. It's the best movie ever.
This is my favorite movie. You should watch it. Buy it right now and watch it.
And I did.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't buy it.
We already had it, I think.
We might have. And we did watch it after that. And then watched it with your family, and one of your sisters said, this is the movie that someone stopped you to recommend?
Yeah. I do remember that.
And but I was like, damn, these are all women in this house. They don't understand it.
Yeah, that's true.
I say that I love action movies, which I don't, but if I will watch one, Guy Ritchie is pretty much a go-to.
Yeah, I mean, they're fun, and this does have a cult following from my understanding, kind of not unlike Heathers or, Pitch Perfect, I guess.
If you're coming from Letterboxd, you kind of do see this for what it is artistically. If you're coming from IMDb, this is peak cinema to some people. This is in the top 100 on IMDb, or it's at least in the top 250.
I think it's in the top 250.
I know that, but it's close to 100 or around 100, which is crazy because realistically,
it's not anything super spectacular, but it is entertaining and it's fun, and I can see why people like it. And upon a second rewatch, I think I did like it better than when I first watched it. just in terms of, like, entertainment value.
So what's your rating?
I still kept my original rating at a 6. But I will say it was closer to a 7 than originally what I thought. Like, I thought it was, pretty solidly in the 6. It is pretty close to a 7. I thought about changing it. But, I don't know. It's just, I know it's not for me. I don't love it. I don't think it's great. I think it's good and entertaining. And I do think that some of the payoffs that this movie has are really good and, make you feel good by the end of it, but it's just not, it's not it for me.
Yeah, I get that. Not that women can enjoy, but I do think Guy Ritchie's like, dudes are gonna love this.
Right.
And I do love it, but I lowered it from an 8 to a 7 because realistically, coming from someone that watches all types of films and all types of genres, I just realistically as a film, this is not great. But I do love coming back to it. It's really fun. So I think a 7 is fair enough for me. And yeah, it's just fun. It's a great ensemble cast. Everyone's really, really good in this. Like, acting is spotless for mostly everyone. I couldn't even point a finger at anyone, really.
No, everyone does a good job, and I think the characters are interesting if, it's crazy because it is short. It's only it's only an hour and 40 minutes. But there's a ton of characters.
Yeah.
They all feel interesting.
Yeah, they all feel like they got a screen time.
Yeah.
I do think this is not a great use of Vinnie Jones. But that's not on anyone, really. Vinnie Jones, to me, comes off better when he's a completely cold-hearted man. And not the guy that's scared of killing a dog. Not that I want him to kill the dog, but, like, it's Vinnie Jones, is the bad guy of soccer. That's what I knew him as a kid, right? So I think of him as cold-hearted and not someone that would think twice about shooting a dog.
But the dog lives in this movie.
The dog is very important to the plot, which is crazy.
But yeah, I think overall we both agree that it is a fun time.
It is a fun time.
I don't know if I recommend... I really wouldn't stop anyone and recommend this to someone, but I do understand the man that did recommend this to you. I can understand why he would like this.
I can understand that. Yeah, I can understand why you'd say, this is so much fun, you should watch it. This is my movie, but I will let you watch it. I get that, but yeah, I don't know if we get a Walk the Cinema recommendation for this, but probably as a action comedy is one of my favorites because I don't like action comedies in general. And I guess we'll see you with Aladdin 2 when that comes out.
I don't think we will be covering that, but maybe, who knows? Maybe there'll be a demand for it.
Sure.
But on that note, we're going to end it, and we will see you next time.